Ah, crap. With all the stuff going on with Red Dwarf, I forgot that H.G. Wells' 150th birthday was that week, and I didn't do a video for it. What kind of book reviewer am I that I forget about one of the most influential science fiction writers of all time? I've got to fix this. Iota, has Mike Sano perfected the time machine yet?
Not yet, Master.
Well, I guess I have no choice. Let's send a letter to my future self.
Placing your pre-written form letter into a hidden hard drive now, Master.
Thanks. Too bad you're on your own. I become a jackass in the future, don't I? Oh, wait, there's something written on the back. Check the e-reader. The e-reader that he gave to me when he made me review the time machine? Dear Michael, I know that many years will have passed for you, blah, blah, blah. As I write this, I'm about to have our first chronological meeting in the timeline, yada, yada, yada. But I know that you will require my help in 4 years' time. Therefore, I have left an encrypted file that will decrypt itself when the time comes. Encrypted file? There's no encrypted... Oh, huh. The Red Room by H.G. Wells. That's a story about a haunted house. Fits in perfectly with Halloween. I think I know what to do. Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. 2 weeks ago was the 150th birthday of H.G. Wells, writer of such stories as The Time Machine and The War of the Worlds. I was going to do a video in honor of that, but let's just say I forgot. But that's alright, because he just so happens to have a story that ties into Halloween. So I can do it now and it'll look like I planned it. So, this was written in 1894 and actually predates both The Time Machine and The War of the Worlds. It, like Call of Cthulhu, was published in a literary magazine first, this one being The Idler, which also published works from authors like Mark Twain and Arthur Conan Doyle. The Red Room is about an unnamed protagonist, which seems to be how Wells operates, since none of the stories that I've looked at have had named protagonists or narrators, who stays in an allegedly haunted house to disprove that there are spirits there. There's not much else to say, so let's get straight to it as we return to Halloween in the Lair. No cover to speak of since literary magazine and all, so let's get straight to it. The story opens up with the unnamed protagonist talking with the custodians of Lorraine Castle, which has a room, the titular Red Room, which is apparently haunted. The narrator doesn't believe in ghosts or specters and wants to disprove the rumors surrounding the castle. He's being dissuaded from staying the night by the custodians, which include a man with a withered arm and a woman who tells him that it's unwise to stay on tonight of all nights. He asks to be escorted to the room, but they tell him that they can't do that, but they do give him directions. He just has to go down the hall, up a spiral staircase, through a green door, and down a corridor. I feel like it would have been easier if they just gave them the Marauder's map, but that's just me. They ask him again if he's sure he wants to stay, and he says he's sure and goes off to locate the room. As he walks, he muses that the architecture and interior design of the house is outdated, and harkens back to an earlier age, when ghosts and ghouls were the answer for every odd occurrence that happened, and no one ever denied it. But of course now, people don't believe in such preposterous things. They
believe in aliens, Lister. Oh, right, fine. Something sensible at last?
He notices that the house, which is mostly unlived in, feels lived in, as the dust accumulation seems almost minimal. Then again, maybe the staff is just really attentive about cleaning it for the ghost debunkers. He stops in his tracks and puts his hand on his gun when he thinks he sees something crouching. He relaxes when he realizes that it's a statue of Ganymede an eagle. It's taking all my self-control right now to not make another Red Dwarf reference. Anyway, he gets to the Red Room and remembers that the last guy who stayed there died in there, and has a bit of apprehension. He soldiers on, however, and looks around the room, locking the door behind him. He admits that he's disturbed by the room and decides to get around that by examining everything, leaving nothing to the imagination. He checks every piece of furniture, checks for hidden passages, and lights a fire to illuminate the room. He sees a shadow in a corner and investigates, but there's nothing there. He tries to keep his mind busy and stimulated so that his imagination can't run wild, and it seems to be working as he thinks about the legend and talks with himself. What a loony talking with himself when there's no one there. One of the candles gets blown out by a draft, and he walks over to relight it. As he does that, 2 more candles go out, which he finds odd. The candle he relit goes out again, and he gets annoyed, shouting that he needs the candles, much like I do when the microwave won't work. Another candle goes out, and he furiously relights them, but the candles keep blowing out. In his rush, he slams his leg into a table and falls onto the floor. We'll be right back after I perform a few scans. And we're back. Everything's working perfectly. He decides to stop playing around and relights his candles using the fireplace, but that goes out as well. He attempts to find the door, and in the darkness, slams into the bed and hits his head, falling into unconsciousness. He awakes the next morning with the custodians tending to his wounds and his memory fragmented, not remembering where he is. The custodians tell him what happened, that they found him with blood on his face and mouth, and he recovers his memory as they tell him. They ask him if he believes the room to be haunted, and he tells them that he does. They ask if it's the old Earl or young Countess, like the rumors had stated, but he disagrees. He says it's something worse. See, Red Room is an anagram for murder. It's not haunted by a ghost. It's another publicity stunt for PETA trying to get us to not eat meat. Actually, he says it's haunted by fear itself. Oh my god, FDR was right. The only thing we have to fear is actually fear itself. The story ends with the man with the withered arm saying that fear is the worst thing because fear will continue to haunt the room until the castle is no more. And that was the Red Room. It was actually pretty spooky. I mean, the suspense was the killer in this one, because you keep waiting for a ghost or something to show up, and when it doesn't, you're still waiting for the demon. Like at the end of the Thriller video. Wells is a genius, and this story is a classic. Sure, I'll always prefer The Time Machine, but it's good to see that Wells is able to go from sci-fi to horror and back without a problem. The story is solid and suspenseful, the payoff is great, and it's a nice little story, and a refresher after the weirdness that came with Lovecraft last year. I'm still trying to find out what a nautical-looking Negro is. I do feel a bit bad about missing the actual birthday, but this was definitely a good compromise between All Hallows Eve and Wells' 150th birthday. So I think I did good. I definitely recommend checking this out if you like Wells or spooky stories. I'm not a fan of spooky stories, and even I liked it, so that's gotta tell you something. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more of the Literary Lair, you can hit that subscribe button. And if you have any comments or complaints about the video, you can put those in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, show it to your friends and share it around the internet. And maybe consider supporting the show on Patreon. See you next time.